Welcome back, everybody, to Not Funny Guys present Go Team Venture. Here we are, rocking season 2, and we're heading now. It is January 1st. Hopefully you're listening to this. It's January 1st. If not, welcome to 2025. We pick up season 2. We left off Monday looking at episodes 3 and 4, and now we're moving into season 2, episodes 5 and 6. We're going to start off today with 20 Years to Midnight. This one was originally aired August 6, 2006, written by co-creator Jason Public. What I find interesting about this episode is one of my favorite ones. It's just sort of like a coming together of some of the things that have been happening throughout the season. So we have Brock discovering some box left over that no one seems to have noticed or touched, and he happens to be doing some cleaning in what used to be Jonas Venture Sr.'s sort of study. They find a box and they find a tape, and on the tape it's addressed to Rusty. Rusty, of course, is immediately thinking about selling these things, only to find out that supposedly there's an even bigger thing, some great invention his father made. And so they go on a scavenger hunt because he has to accomplish this in like a day, because it has to be activated on the Christmas Eve of his 44th year, which happens to be the next day. So first thing they have to do is they have to go to Spider Skull Island, which is now occupied by Jonas Jr. He tries to break in, finds out, ends up having to share the information, unfortunately, not wanting to, of course, in Rusty Venture's petulousness. Of course, when they opened the box, by the way, speaking back to what we had earlier, in the box there was a sweater vest that Dean immediately gravitated towards, but of course. So we have them now splitting into 3 groups to go and gather the rest of the things. The boys take the new XX-1, which is a cooler version of the X-1 plane. They go off to find the piece that Colonel Gentleman has, who apparently keeps a list of toys he wishes he has a kid. And I love the fact that they play very fast and loose with the idea of whether or not Colonel Gentleman's dead from what looks like an opium overdose or heroin overdose. He's not dead, as we will find out later, but who knows? We also come to find out that the pirate from the Ghost of Saragosso, he's now working for Jonas Jr., and they go and basically find pretty much that one of the pieces is being held by pretty much Johnny Quest, who's a drug addict. That's a real fun one. Not the last time we'll see our old spoof on Johnny Quest in this sort of like bath spear thing. But their Johnny Quest goes by the name of Action Johnny. And of course they use the whole fact that Jonas Jr. is a doctor, wink wink, to get the piece they need. So, and then the final piece they have to obtain is in former Venture Industries headquarters, which is now the Impossible Building. And so we do get to encounter the Impossible family again. We do have Stephen Colbert still voicing at this point Mr. Impossible, and he has a weird robot we will see later. But of course they use Dr. Venture again exploits his affection for Sally to lure her out. Of course, Dr. Impossible sees all this coming and apprehends all of them and locks them up, even though he seems to have forgotten about his own son, who is Rocket, I believe Rocket, who is sort of forgotten. We then get a whole flashback, of course. We get further details about Dr. Impossible's sort of despising hatred of Rusty Venture. And then, of course, we end up having them finally completing the machine thanks to Dr. Impossible before they have to sort of take him out. To which, this whole time, I've forgotten to mention, they're being followed by the Grand Inquisitor. Ignore me! You'll get it if you watch. But one of my favorite villains, who seems to be sort of mildly innocent and everything, but it turns out that he is the force that must be defeated, mentioned in the tape earlier. And so the machine is completed. It's a teleport doorway. Dr. Jonas Venture Sr. steps through, kills the Grand Inquisitor. Turns out that it's not Dr. Jonas Venture Sr. at all. It's a ghost who looks really hideous, and everybody gets a horrified face when he shows his real self to them. He said, "Was that better?" And then he looks at Dr. Venture and says, "You almost crapped your pants." And then he looks at Ned, and he crapped his pants. And poor Ned is wearing New York Jets memorabilia. What is with that? Gosh, I hate him enough, man. They try to talk to him, and of course, that's when he reveals that he's not really their father. And this is, of course, when Sally and Jonas Jr. start to sort of make a connection, and they become a thing together. And then, of course, where he actually shows real affection for her, JJ, as we will call him. And then, of course, we find what's left of Dr. Impossible flapping like a flag from the building in the post-credits. All right. So that will wrap up episode 5, 20 Years to Midnight. Fun, just a fun episode. The Grand Inquisitor is probably one of my favorite bits in that because he just keeps yelling. And his chest has like a voice box. It's absolutely hilarious. And he has like 6 fingers. Just a hilarious character. But just a quick reminder, if you've not done so yet, subscribe to the channel. Follow, like, comment, all that fun stuff. Share, tell people about it. We're continuing our Venture Brother rewatch here, presented by the Not Funny Guys. But let's move on to episode 6. Now, speaking of episode 6, I will say that until I rewatched this recently, I had forgotten how much I liked this episode. Victor Echo November, episode 6, season 2, August 13th, 2006, written by one of the co-creators, Doc Hammer. Now, I guess what I had forgotten so much about this is that it shines a real light and a real fun, play on rumors and lore behind Phantom Limb, and it ties him to Billy Quizboy. Okay? And so, in the episode's premise is that everybody, Phantom Limb and Dr. Girlfriend are going to meet the Monarch to talk about him rejoining the guild officially. At the same time, Dr. Venture is staying at home to watch Dolly Parton's Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, thinking it's an adult film. It's not. I cannot believe how absolutely hilarious that one is. And then, of course, as part of a deal on his rent, Dr. Orpheus has got his daughter Triana and her friend Kim, who we've met previously in Assassin Nanny 911, going on a double date with Hank and Dean. Now, what ends up happening when they get to the restaurant, and they're all at the same restaurant, is that the Monarch and the Dr. Phantom Limb eventually get into a pissing match about the Venture, and he calls for a blackout kill from the guild on them, on the Venture family. Hank and Dean end up in the bathroom where Hank, of course, they have a whole conversation about shake and dabbing when you're peeing in a urinal, and Hank ends up getting it wet and then proceeds to experience something rather suggestive with the hand dryer while pulling himself up to use his crotch against it. All of this while happening, Phantom Limb comes into the bathroom, goes into one of the stalls after seeing the boys. Monarch does the exact same thing, and eventually 21 and 24, who try to figure out why they're the only ones left in the restaurant, do the exact same thing. So everybody's in this ridiculous situation in the thing, all while the Venture compound is under attack. Brock is naked to scare and intimidate killing these guys. He sends Helper and Dr. Venture into the panic room. Dr. Venture loses an arm in the process, and Helper gets literally obliterated. While Brock is killing all these basically guild agents. In fact, he has this fun encounter with one where he stabs, and then the guy thinks he's dying. He's like, no, you're not really going to die. I just needed information. And so he has to go rescue the boys. Now, Phantom Limb is in the stall. Monarch's in the stall. 21 and 24 have now joined the stall because they freaked out when they're realizing everybody else in the restaurant was gone. And of course, Kim and Triana are in the bathroom with Dr. Girlfriend, and Dr. Girlfriend immediately assumes that Kim is a supervillain and then recruits her to join the guild, basically, for which later on she will basically declare Hank and Dean her first arches. They will eventually all reconvene at the table, but in the meantime, 21 decides he has to go to the bathroom while they're in a stall, and he calls it I gotta go do it Count Dooku. Love the Star Wars reference. So he's in there, and then eventually Brock shows up to save the day. First stall he goes into, 21-24. Holds 24 hostage. They're like, next, yeah, we didn't do it. Don't kill us. 21, of course, no longer has a problem going number 2. Apparently, so does number 24. Monarch also like, oh, Brock, hi, you're here. Oh, no, I wouldn't be dumb to do this. Yeah, no, Phantom Limb, next stall over. Okay. Finally confronts Phantom Limb. And then they're having this sort of, again, pissing contest. He calls off the hit. Because he eventually told the base that he was going to be the one who had do it. He will take out the boys and finish the Venture family. And all of this had basically been to impress girls. Yeah. So Hank and Dean utterly fail at impressing girls in this episode, not surprising. And the Monarch and Phantom Limb let it get too far and pissed the girl off in the face of Dr. Girlfriend. And of course, everybody eventually leaves and reconvenes. And this whole time, they've been making speculations about how Phantom Limb, he keep telling these rumor stories about how Phantom Limb got his limbs invisible. There's a time traveling explanation. There's a one where he used to be a superhero. And then there's another one with growth hormones. And in all of them, Billy Whalen, the quiz boy we've met previously, plays a part. And the idea is that the limbs disappeared, and so did Billy's now robotic hand, his real hand. We cut to the final end credits, where Rusty's arm has been reattached by Billy. But we see Billy doing this whole thing with his hand, and he's testing the little servos. Definitely a Star Wars Empire Strikes Back reference to Luke Skywalker. And then Dr. Venture tells him, he asked him the question, how did that happen to you? And Billy says he has no idea. So once again, we're left with this little taste of a mystery that we'll get no answers to, at least not now. But we now have furthered the lore of Phantom Limb, a little bit of Quiz Boy, and of course we still have the sort of contested will they, won't they of Dr. Girlfriend and the Monarch getting back together and Phantom Limb getting in the way and all that fun tension that we'll see, and it comes to a resolution of some sorts at the end of this season. So until then, I hope you guys are enjoying your 2025 so far. I hope everybody's had a good New Year's. We're going to keep rocking and rolling here. So again, want to remind everybody, subscribe, like, share, comment, interact. Tell me what your favorite parts of these episodes are. If you know any Easter eggs about some of these episodes, chime in. I'd love to talk more about these. I'm just sort of hitting the surface here in short form video, but I'd love to go into more detail on some of these. So yeah. Friday, January 3rd, we will be hitting up episodes 7 and 8. We'll be looking at Love Bites, that's Bheits, and we'll be getting back into Baron Underbite, and then Fallen Arches. This one will bring us finally the Order of the Triad, something I have much been looking forward to as an addition. So until then, everybody stay safe, have a good day, and I will see you next time. Say not funny guys again.
Not funny guys again.
No, can you say not funny guys?